Alright, and welcome back. Today's video is going to be about simplifying radical expressions. To help our process out, I've already charts for each problem that'll help us. So for number 18, we're going to rely on the property of exponents to really solve this, to help us with part of it. So first, just jumping in here, we can rewrite this using one radical to say, and I'm going to break down that 14. So 2 times 7 times 7 times, and then I'm going to put my exponents, the variable terms, underneath another radical. It's going to be x to the 5th times x to the 9th. Now, when we're simplifying the first radical, I'm going to leave the 2 alone. I'm just going to multiply the 7 times 7. So it's going to become 2 times the square root of 2 times 49 times. Now, using the properties of exponents here, you add. We're going to add our exponents. So that's going to become 5 plus 9 makes 14. It's going to be x to the 14th power. Now, after that, we just continue to evaluate, and the square root of the perfect square here is 49. The square root of 49 is 7. So that's going to go away. That's going to become 7 right here. And then this is still going to just be square root of 2 times. Now, the index, when you're simplifying this expression, the second one, the square root of x to the 14th, the index is 2, the little number that goes there. So when we rewrite it, this is going to become times x to the 14 divided by 2. Now, when we simplify that, that's going to become 7 times x to the 7th times the square root of 2, which we can just write it as 7x to the 7th square root 2. And that would be the final answer there. All right, let's take a look at this next one here. Now, for this next one, we have a chart for factoring factoring polynomials. Now, the one in particular that we're going to really be paying attention to here is this second one. If you look closely, for number 17, our expression is already in the form a, the group of a minus b squared. 3 is a, and 3 square root 3 is b. So if we just plug these into this formula, it'll help speed up the process. We'll do, so what we want to rewrite here, we're going to be, and let me just show you, this is going to be a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. Now we're going to substitute values into those things. So instead of a, we're going to have 3. And then we're going to put squared minus 2 times a, that's going to be 3. B is going to become 3 square root 3 plus b again, or b squared, which is 3 root 3 squared. Oops. Let's fix that parentheses there. Now, let's go ahead and continue to simplify. 3 squared is 9. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. So that's 18 square root 3 plus. Now, when you simplify this expression, you're really distributing that exponent over 2. So it's going to be 3 squared, and 3 squared is 9, times the square root of 3 squared. Well, when you square a radical, you're just left with the number, so that's just going to be times 3. Continue simplifying, that's 9 minus 18 square root 3 plus 27. Simplify that, that's going to become 36 minus 18 square root 3. Now, the only other way they could possibly write this answer is to factor out the 18, because 36 and 18 both have the greatest common factor is 18. So you can do 18 times 2 minus the square root of 3. So both of these would suffice as a final answer. All right. Well, let's move on down here to take a look at number 20. Now, number 20, we also have a chart here for factoring polynomials, and the one that we're going to pay attention to for this one is going to be actually this first one, because here this one really follows the form a plus b squared. So if we're following that, we're going to have a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. And that's going to lead us with a is 2, so that's going to be 2 squared plus 2 times 2 times the square root of 3 plus the square root of 3 squared. Now we just evaluate all of that. 2 squared is 4 plus 2 times 2 is 4 times the square root of 3 plus the square root of 3 squared. Once again, the square root of 3 squared is just 3. And now we're going to simplify this some more. You can only add the 3 and the 4. You can only add the 3 and the 4, which that makes that 7 plus 4 square root 3. And this here would be our final answer. Okay? Let's take a look at number 6. Now, number 6, for this example, we have here, we still have the chart for factoring trinomials. And our expression says the square root of 2 divided by the square root of 6 plus 7. Now, the one we're going to use for this one here is the a squared minus b squared. And you'll see why in a minute. Now, when you simplify radicals, you're not allowed to have a radical in your denominator. So to get rid of the radical in the denominator, we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by the group of the square root of 6 minus 7. Square root of 6 minus 7. Now, why do we want to do that? Getting back to our chart here, when we have a plus b times a minus b, that is really going to be equal to just a squared minus b squared. Now, we want to get rid of the radical. When we square a radical, it gets rid of the radical. So essentially, when we rewrite this, this is going to be the square root of 2 times the group of the square root of 6 minus 7. All of that is going to be divided by. Now, here, let me put parentheses around it. This is our a plus b here, and this is our a minus b there. So now we can just use that formula. It's going to be a squared minus b squared. So a squared, which is the square root of 6, squared minus b squared. B is 7. And now we can just go ahead and evaluate that. The numerator is going to become the square root of 12 minus 7 square root 2. All of that divided by, well, the square root of 6 squared is 6 minus 7 squared is 49. Now when we continue to simplify, the square root of 12 can be simplified to say the square root of, let me just come over here real quick. Square root of 12, we can factor that to say the square root of 4 times the square root of 3, which that's going to be 2 square root 3. So square root of 12 can be simplified to 2 square root 3 minus 7 square root 2 divided by negative 43. And we really can't do anything else with that, so this would just be our final answer. That will conclude our video.